you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Marina Grosu from Washington, D.C. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. In the United States, the Federal Bureau of Investigation handed over to Congress documents related to the controversial leaked memo that sought to profile Catholics adhering to the traditional Latin Mass. The now withdrawn memo originated from the Richmond office of the Bureau, and it said that racially motivated violent extremists were likely to be interested in so-called radical traditional Catholic ideology in the run-up to the general election. The FBI handed over the documents to the House Judiciary Committee with the request that it should not be circulated without consulting the Bureau. The handing over of documents comes after Republican Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio threatened to hold contempt charges against FBI Director Christopher over the delay in responding to two subpoenas probing First Amendment violations. When the memo was leaked earlier this year, it triggered a controversy with allegations that the federal government was weaponizing the Bureau to target Catholics and pro-life supporters. The Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem has expressed hope for Christians in the Holy Land amid escalating violence. Cardinal-designate Pierbattista Pizzaballa said that harassment and assault against Christians in Israel are the work of a small group of Jewish ultranationalists who thrive in a particular cultural environment. In an interview with Vatican News, Archbishop Pizzaballa acknowledged that acts of religious intolerance have existed for a long time. He said that so-called present far-right Israeli government Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not blatantly anti-Christian. However, he said it has indirectly helped to foster tension and hostility in some sectors of Israeli society. The cardinal-elect said that there are reasons for hope because of the tremendous reactions that these instances sparked in Israeli society, including from Jewish religious leaders. The Patriarch expressed his belief that the issue will be eventually resolved. In central Nigeria, Christian believers are holding several prayer vigils following a series of orchestrated attacks that left more than 350 people dead. More than 80,000 people have been displaced in Plateau State alone because of the attacks by armed Muslim Fulani herdsmen. The state is on the dividing line between the Islamic North and Christian majority South and has been simmering with violence for years. The well-calculated attacks on Christian farmers in the state are seen as an operation to decimate the population by the governor. Since May, attacks on Christian communities are a regular affair in this region, and it was only last week that the military intervened to restore order. The epicenter of the violence is Mangu, local government area, which is witnessing murder, looting, and arson on a massive scale. There are reports that the militants do not even spare those who try to escape. According to persecution watchdog Open Doors, the attacks happen in Mangu almost on a daily basis. The other affected areas include Barkin Ladi and Riom. In the African state of Niger, there are reports that the military has ousted President Mohamed Bazoum on Wednesday and placed him under house arrest at his official mansion. Colonel Major Amadou Abdrahmane declared on national television that the defense and security forces have decided to put an end to the regime as a result of the poor social and economic management and ongoing deterioration of the security situation. He said that a nationwide curfew was in effect and all national institutions were also suspended. The United States has demanded the immediate release of the president. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters in New Zealand that he spoke with the president, stating that the United States resolutely supports him as the democratically elected head of state of Niger. A UN official tweeted that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed his support and solidarity with the Niger president. Meanwhile, Niger's former colonial ruler, France, has expressed grave concern over the developments in the country. Members of the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, or POW, have alleged that police failed to press charges against assailants who attacked them in front of a Planned Parenthood center in Washington, D.C. The attack occurred when POW founder Teresa Bukovniak and activist Michael Gribben were providing sidewalk counseling on the morning of July 21st. According to Bukovinak, a pro-abortion supporter grabbed her and threw coffee in her face and hair, and while Gribben tried to intervene, he was assaulted by the woman's male partner. While the assault was being recorded, the person who assaulted Gribben confronted the cameraman as well. Although the assault was reported, Bukovinak alleged that police refused to take action against the assailants. An amendment that will make abortion a so-called constitutional right will be put to vote later this year in the U.S. state of Ohio. This was announced by the Secretary of State on Tuesday, adding that the group pushing for the amendment had submitted enough signatures for the initiative. The Secretary of State has cleared 495,938 signatures out of the total 700,000 submitted by the Ohioans United for Reproductive Rights. It is enough to pass the 413,446 signature threshold needed to put the proposal for an amendment on the ballot. The number of signatures received also exceeds the state requirement in 55 counties. At present, abortion is legal in Ohio through 22 weeks of pregnancy. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade last year, lawmakers passed the fetal heartbeat bill, banning the termination of pregnancy after the 6th week when cardiac activity is detected in the baby, but the law is currently on hold. Organizers of World Youth Day Lisbon have announced the launch of an app that provides information on the itinerary, location maps, and prayers, thus doing away with the need to have paper booklets containing the same information. The new app development by MEO and Bliss Applications is aimed at promoting sustainability and reducing carbon footprints. Speaking to Portuguese broadcaster RTP, President of World Youth Day Lisbon Foundation Bishop Americo Aguiar said it was normal for young people to have many booklets in their kits. But this time it will all be digital. The application is available free of charge for Android and iOS systems, and it comes in Portuguese, English, Spanish, French, and Italian. During the World Youth Day Youth Festival, as many as 15 movies and documentaries will be screened for young believers. Some of them will feature impactful testimonies and themes regarding those who are in need and young people going out for evangelization. Among the movies to be screened are Human Life and Heaven Can't Wait. They will be shown on August 2nd at Cinema São Jorge in Portuguese capital. A global rights organization has said that human rights should be the priority of the UN Security Council mandated independent assessment of the global approach to the Afghan crisis. Human Rights Watch said that the special coordinator should make sure that assessment hears from the survivors of rights violations, especially women and girls. A Security Council resolution in March this year asked the UN to provide an integrated and independent assessment with forward-looking recommendations for an integrated approach among political, humanitarian, and development actors to the crisis in Afghanistan. Feridun Siniroglu of Turkey was appointed as the special coordinator by the UN Secretary General. Associate Women's Rights Director at Human Rights Watch, Heather Barr, said the situation in Afghanistan right now is the most serious women's rights crisis in the world. Japan's population dropped by a record rate in 2022 as the nation works to overcome its historically low birth rates. This was revealed by the government, citing reports on Wednesday. In many developed countries, low birth rates are an issue, but in Japan, it is really grave, as the population has been shrinking for 14 years in a row. The country has the second oldest population in the world, and in January, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida expressed worry that the nation was in danger of losing its ability to operate as a community. An internal affairs ministry poll showed the number of Japanese people fell by 800,523, or 0.65%, 122,423 in the last year from 2021. All 47 regions experienced population decline for the first time in Japan. According to the ministry, the overall reduction was the sharpest ever since 1968. The military in Myanmar intends to move ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi from prison to house arrest. The democratically elected leader and former Nobel Peace Laureate has been imprisoned since the military overthrew Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy in a coup in 2021. Suu Kyi is presently imprisoned in Naypyidaw, the nation's new capital. According to reports, the action is an act of clemency for convicts as part of a religious ceremony that will take place the following week. An enormous statue of the sitting Buddha has been erected by the military, and it will be unveiled for public veneration on August 3rd. Suu Kyi received a 33-year prison term after the army filed a number of allegations against her. Experts contend that the majority of the accusations were made to prevent her from winning public support. Prior to the military's appeal, her party had already secured a second 5-year mandate in the 2020 elections. A top official of the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, said that there were 4,600 deaths from over 1,800 terrorist acts in the region in the first half of the year. Omar Touré of the 15-nation ECOWAS said the figure is just a snippet of the horrendous impact of insecurity in West Africa. He added that 500,000 people are refugees and approximately 6.2 million people are internally displaced. The official claimed that if there isn't sufficient international reaction, the number of people who are in need of food assistance will go up from 30 million to 42 million by the end of next month. According to Touré, insecurity continues to inflict pain and suffering on millions of people. He singled out terrorism, armed rebellion, organized crime, unconstitutional changes of government, illegal maritime activities, and fake news as the drivers of insecurity in the region. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, an Israeli soldier killed a Palestinian man during an arrest operation in the occupied West Bank on Wednesday. This new killing is one of the most violent periods of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in recent years. The 23-year-old was killed as fighting broke out between Palestinian militants and Israeli security forces. According to the Israeli army, Palestinians fired shots, threw paint and stones at soldiers, who then returned fire. The Palestinian Health Ministry identified the victim as Mohamed Neda, who was shot in the chest. In 2023, over 161 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank, and it is the highest toll in over a decade. The CEO of an artificial intelligence safety and research company has warned the U.S. Senate that it might not be long before artificial intelligence gives terrorists the ability to use biological weapons in attacks across the world. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei told the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee that his company is currently considering the medium-term risk of AI aiding in the development and delivery of these weapons. Amodei said private action is not enough, as there is a need to have a systemic policy response. He said the government has to put limits on the export of equipment that can help people develop AI systems. Amodei also sought a tough testing and auditing regime for new AI models. He also said more work needs to be done to test the systems used to audit AI tools. Catholic students of Texas A&M University in College Station have a new church after 10 years of planning, fundraising, and construction. It will be open to believers during the dedication ceremony on July 29th. It will be presided over by Bishop Jose Vasquez of Austin, with the participation of 8 other bishops. Among them are Cardinal Daniel DiNardo of the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston, and Bishop Michael Sis of San Angelo, and Bishop David Condorilla of Tulsa. The church is the realization of the efforts of the St. Mary's Catholic Center of the university that takes care of the spiritual needs of Catholic students. The new church features a beautiful sanctuary containing the altar and tabernacle, stained glass windows depicting saints, and a dome adorned with a golden statue of Our Lady of Victory. A&M is the largest university in the country, with a population of 75,000. A quarter of its students are Catholic. And those are your latest headlines. Join us again tomorrow for more. You can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.